Welcome to the Matrix Mini Masterclass. Each episode I'm going to be joining one of our top consultants to bring you the best tips and tactics to help you put more fish in the net. We'll be visiting venues across the country, from fishfield commercials and large open lakes to big challenging rivers. The Matrix consultants will demonstrate the skills that make them so successful, covering feeder fishing, pole fishing, waggler fishing, the tackle they use and the baits they choose. The Matrix Mini Masterclass, bringing the best to your screens.
If you love fishing feeder venues like me and going all over the country, enjoy chasing titles and trying to qualify for some of the big money finals that are out there, it's inevitable that you often find yourself going back to the same venues purely because they're the venues that are suitable to host those types of events. I was presented with the opportunity to go and fish a venue that I've never heard of before. It's a venue that's about 100 miles away from where I live in Sheffield. It's in North Yorkshire and it's called Lake Semerwater. Having never heard of the venue before, my first port of call was obviously going to be the internet. By simply typing in the name of the lake, I was able to bring up all sorts of information from past match results, contact details for the bailiff and the club that control that water. I was able to just get access to information about the target species we might be after, you know, where the better areas might be, what the depths are like and all that sort of thing. So when you're researching new venues, the internet is a valuable resource that we never had before. So I've got my alarm set really nice and early for tomorrow morning. I can't wait to get up there, see this venue. Hopefully the conditions are going to be favourable. So I will see you first thing in the morning at the fantastic Lake Semerwater.
Welcome to another Matrix Mini Masterclass. I'm here today at the lovely Semerwater Lake in North Yorkshire. Until 2 weeks ago I didn't even know this venue existed, but I've done a little bit of research online. I rang the bailiff who lives just over there. He's given me a bit of a heads up as regards the target species, what we're after, possibly the best place to fish. So I'm going to head off over to the peg, get set up, have a good cast around with a bomb, find out what kind of depths we're after, and then just plan what kind of approach we're going to use today to tackle this brand new venue. Right, as you can probably see over my shoulder, I'm all set up now. I've got my kit out in the water. It's really shallow close in, so I've had to go out a little bit just to get some depth in the keep net and just obviously get me a little bit further out into the lake. I don't know what to expect. It's gone cold overnight, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover my options by fishing two different lines, two different ranges, and I'm going to have a slightly different approach on each line. I'm going to fish a shorter line at about 30 metres. I'm going to clip up at that range and just kind of see what the bottom's like to make sure it's all right there. And I'm going to use Pro Natural Dark on that line. Basically this is a mix we use in Ireland or on a lot of natural venues, and it's just great for targeting everything. You know, there's a bit of brown crumb in here, it's mixed with molasses, some crushed hemp as well. We've heard there's some roach in here, and really I'm just going to put this 30 metre line in just to target anything. So I'm going to mix this up now, that way it's going to have a little bit of time to settle while I'm setting up my rods and everything. One key thing I'm going to be doing is using molasses, which is what we use a lot of on natural venues and in Ireland as well. What this will do is it'll add some sweetness to the mix. I'll just add this to the water. Add this to the water, it'll add some sweetness to the mix. It'll help it bind as well. I don't think that's going to be a big issue on here, to be fair, because I don't think it's very deep, but it can be an issue on deeper waters, so that's an extra little trick for you. But it will add a little bit of bind to the mix, and what it will also do is darken down the mix. As you can see, it's a very dark, it's almost like a syrup. This is a dark mix anyway, as you can see, but this will just darken it down even more. Because I'm targeting roach or anything that swims with this mix on this shorter line, I'm going to mix it quite dry. This is obviously going to soak up some of the water while I'm setting my rods up and stuff, and will dry out quite a bit, and then I'll just put it through a little sieve just to make sure it's nice and fine. So that's enough water for this stage. So that is going to be for the 30-metre line. I'm going to keep it dry and just fish for anything on that line. The second line I'm going to fish is going to be further out into the lake, probably at around 50 metres. The mix I'm going to be using on that line is again a cereal mix, and it's Pro Natural Bream. It's probably my favourite natural water bream mix when I'm not using fish meal. It's got some bran crumb in there and a lot of brasem as well, which, as we know, is a fantastic bream attractor. I'm using this on its own. As you can see, it's a lighter coloured mix than the Pro Natural Dark. That will darken down slightly when we mix some water with it. And I'm going to use the molasses water in this mix as well, which will again sweeten it up even more. As you can see, it's going darker already. It'll add some sweetness to it. Again, it'll help it bind, but again, it's going to darken it down a little bit as well. One key detail with this mix is, because I'm going to be targeting bream, I'm obviously going to be introducing worm on that line, some chopped worm. So I'm not going to mix this too wet, because obviously when I add some chopped worm to it as I go, that will obviously add more moisture to the mix, and I don't want to over wet it if I can help it. So as you can see, you can see the difference there. That's darkened down from the dry. That's darkened down quite a lot already. So I'm going to leave that now, give that time to soak in that water while I get my rods out. I'm going to have a cast out, just kind of find two ranges that I'm happy with, come back to these mixers, add a little bit more water if need be, put them through a sieve, and then we'll be ready to go. Well, as you can see, I'm all set up now. I'm itching to get fishing. That wind, if anything, has got up a little bit, but the lines that I've finally decided on are 25 metres and 50 metres. The order that I'm going to fish and feed them is, I've decided I'm going to start short today, so I'm going to start at 25 metres. I'll go through the tactics with you in a little while once I've had a few casts and settled into the session. But I'm going to feed the short line first, because I plan on starting on that line. I'm going to put just 4 feederfuls on that line with a little bit of bait, and then I'm going to feed my 50-metre line with some bigger baits, some chopped worm, and obviously some more bream orientated mixers. So I'm going to start short, just start off really nice and active with a little feeder, just keep popping it in, just to try and get some sort of a reaction, and leave that longer line for a little bit later on. So I'm going to have a few casts and I'll check in with you in a little while. Well, there we go, first cast. Really encouraging. I put 4 feederfuls on this line, as you probably saw. Only 2 of those had a little bit of bait in. The other 2 were just ground bait, really dry. Just wanted plenty of activity, just to see if there are any roach or anything out there. Be interesting to see what this is. What we got? It's a lovely little roach. Great start. Hopefully it's going to continue to be like that. Beautiful little roach. Single dead red maggot. Just putting casters in to start with. So I'll just feel his way into it and hopefully keep getting a few bites. bang that on then, just as Orion Island. Well, that's really encouraging. Just had another cast and missed a really fast bite. Just gone in again. It's only been in a few seconds and it's gone straight round. I think it could be another roach as well. I've got a bell feeder on, only putting casters in, really dry mix. This Pro Natural Dark, just keep it going in, try and keep them interested. Another lovely roach. Well, it's another roach, as you can see, a little bit bigger this one. Beautiful stamp. Just on single dead red maggot on a size 14 super match. Just putting casters through, like I said. Going to keep that feeder going in and hopefully there'll be plenty more of these waiting. Well, I've just had two really quick bites, you know, and it's reminding me a lot of Ireland. It's just typical wild fishing. So I'm stepping up. I've been on a 14 super match hook. I'm just now quickly going to step that up to a size 12. I think that's, you know, it's not going to affect the bites and I'm sure I'll hook a lot more of them. Well, stepping up in hook size has really, it's transformed the peg now. It's not made any difference whatsoever. Shall we swing him? Look at that, beautiful stamper roach. It's not made any difference whatsoever to the stamp of fish, and it's not made any difference to the number of bites that I'm getting as well. Lovely little roach, that one again. These sorts of venues, they're not pressured, you know. As you can probably tell looking around, it's the type of venue, it doesn't get fished a great deal. So we often find that the fish, they're not pressured like they are in a lot of certainly commercial fisheries or venues that get fished a lot more. And that inevitably means that, you know, a lot of the fish are wild and they're just looking for food, and that's why you can get away with larger hooks usually, sometimes thicker lines as well. And obviously if you're getting a lot of bites like we are doing at the moment from roach, if you can put a larger hook on, it's going to increase your chance of hooking more fish. Well, as you can see, we're getting plenty of bites now. The conditions are obviously going against us, so that's affected the way that we're hitting bites and that sort of thing. I'll just quickly talk you through the rig. It's really simple. It's an 014 hook length. I've now shortened it down now to, well, it's now about 45 centimetres. I've set it up to a size 10 super match hook, and that's working brilliantly at the moment. I've then got that loop in the hook length, which is to a quick change hook length attachment, and that is just running on a buffer bead. It's just a free running rig, nice and simple. There's nothing there to tangle, super simple. And at the minute, and what I've been catching most of the fish on, is with a 24 gram bell feeder, just packing it with casters and capping off with ground bait. So I'm going to get back out and hopefully there's still a few fish waiting to be caught. As you've seen, we've been catching lots of small roach and small perch, and part and parcel of catching fish like that are just getting fast bites. It's easy to miss bites. I've already shortened down the hook length and put a larger hook on as well. But one of the ways we can hit these bites is just simply by just moving the rod across the rest. That's one way that you can hook these fish, and just trying to increase your chances of coming back with a fish every time. You can just move the rod along the rest just a little bit. That way, if the fish isn't on, you can just put the rod back down again, and then you get another bite at the cherry, as it were, without moving the feeder too far out of the swim. And another way is just simply turn the reel. Sometimes just winding fish on can be the way to go. But it's very much trial and error, you know, every session's different. And today we've just gone through two or three different ways of hooking fish. And again, then that was a really positive bite. I'm only fishing 25 meters, as you know, and I'm fishing with braid. So a lot of the bites are really direct and sharp, and you're seeing everything really. But I've got to admit, while we're getting bites on this line, one or two fish, we'll just net him to make sure. It's not a big fish, but they're a lovely little roach. I'm dying to have a cast on that longer line where we've fed for bream. You can see a lovely roach. A bit of sunshine on him. But yeah, while there's this fish there, it's hard to come off fish, but I've got to admit, I'm dying to try that longer line, so I'm going to have a cast out there and see if there's anything waiting for us out there. Well, as you've seen, we've caught quite a few fish on that short line, that 25 metre line. I'm dying to have a look on that long line just to see if there's anything there. Fed it with 6 feederfuls at the start of the session, and they were pretty much packed with bait. There were some squats in there, some loads of chopped worm, some dead red maggots as well, and a few casters. I'm going to go out there now and I'm just going to pack it with worm. I don't know if there's going to be small fish out there as well. I guess we're soon going to find out, but hopefully there might be one or two better stamp fish waiting for us. The wind's got up, so I've just stepped up slightly in the weight of the feeder, but I'll go through all the kit with you shortly. So I'm just dying to get out there, and hopefully there's going to be one or two better fish waiting for us. Well, there we go, third cast on that long line. Better stamp fish, brilliant. Had a couple of little indications on the first couple of casts, evident that the small fish are out there as well, but I've just put a full worm on, a full dendrobine and nothing else, and that's the result. Really, really encouraging for just the third cast. So we get back out there and hopefully there's some more waiting for us. After. Right, well, I've just had two really nice fish on that long line now, which is what that line was really set up to do, so that's working perfectly at the moment. The wind's still coming at us, as you can see, so I just thought I'd quickly talk you through the kit that I'm using. I'm fishing at 50 metres like we originally planned. That's where all the bait's gone in. The rod that I'm using is a 4 metre, it's the XC class, which is a lot of time when I'm fishing at any sort of range and the weather is really, really severe. Obviously I use the XD, which is obviously the big rod for casting long distance and long range fishing. This is the step down from that, It's 4 meters long, which is, you know, the version that I like to use in the XD range, but this is a little bit softer, it's a little bit lighter, a little bit more giving, and it's you know, it's a medium sort of rod for when the weather isn't too severe. It's the 4 meter version I'm using today. I've got the 2.5 ounce tip in this rod, so that's compensating and it's working really well with the tow that we've got today, as you can see, that's been generated by the wind. I've got it coupled with a feeder 5500 reel, and that's loaded with 010 submerged braid, and I've got an 8-pound shot leader on that. Like I say, I'm fishing at 50 meters. In order to get out there, I'm using an horizon feeder. This version is 50 gram, that's what I'm needing to reach that range today. As you can see, we're actually casting directly into that wind, so it's a 50 gram version I'm using. It's a free running rig, which I like to use now wherever possible, and that is just resting on a horizon protector sleeve. It's a fantastic little bit of kit, that, because it just kind of, you know, the swivel and the feeder sits on that sleeve, and it just protects all the shot leader and everything when you've really got to punch it out there, you know, into a headwind like this. It just stops any damage to your line. That's then just, the hook length is just 0.14 hook length, and that is to a size 14 SW hook, which is ideal for fishing with baits like worm and for bigger fish and bigger baits. I can't wait to get back out there. Hopefully there are some more waiting for us.
Something broke in me that day. I saw a way to get back at you. Stood here dying on my feet, feeling cold, feeling weak. And it seems right, I only meet you in the moonlight. I know the devil's inside, just carry me alone. And it seems right, I only meet you in the moonlight. I know the devil's inside, just carry me alone. Followed you into the dark, 'cause you're the great.
Well, that's a lovely stamp roach. Look at that one, beautiful. Great thing about fishing big baits is you tend to catch big fish. Really positive bite, brilliant, really aggressive. We could be an island. Well, I've just had a couple of really nice skimmers. It's ticking over really nicely now. I've also gone in again with the full dendra on and had a really big, nice perch. Nearly pulled the rod in, really positive. The tow is just incredible now. As you can see, the wind's it's just not eased up at all. It's quite shallow out there as well, so that obviously helps increase that towing. So all I'm doing is I'm locking the tip right up. I'm still at that same range at 50 meters, but I'm just locking the tip right up to the feeder, and it's just obviously just tightening everything up. And so when I do get a bite, I'm fishing a bigger bait, I'm fishing a full dendra now. So when I do get a bite, I've got a size 12 hook on. The fish are just kind of hooking themselves. It's almost, you know, you're turning a free running rig into a bolt rig, as it were. I've still got a 50 gram feeder on, which is obviously holding the bottom. So everything's tightened up. Waiting a little bit longer for bites, but when I get one, it's a better fish. I've cut worm out now because I had a few small little perch. So I cut the worm out altogether, the chopped worm. So all I'm putting through now is caster and squats. Everyone knows how effective squats can be for bream fishing and skimmer fishing, and that's why I brought them along today. I've fed quite a lot of them as well. So that's all I'm putting through now, squats and caster with the full dendra on the hook. Just going to stick it out on this line now for the last few minutes of the session, just to see if we can snare another bream. And yeah, it's been a cracking session so far, so hopefully we're going to have a good finish.
Feeling weak, then it seems right. I only meet you in the moonlight. I know the devil's inside, just carry me alone. And it seems right. I only meet you in the moonlight. I know the devil's inside, just carry me alone.
Well, we're probably in the last few minutes of the session. Hopefully you can hear me over the wind. You can probably hear the waves smashing against my box. This feels a much better fish. I'm guessing it's another skimmer or even a bream maybe. Full dendra again, really positive bite. It's a bit awkward playing them in this wind, as you can imagine. Yeah, looks like it's a big skimmer. Could even be classed as a proper bream, this one. Yeah, lovely fish. It seems as though the peg's getting stronger, to be honest, the more we're feeding it. Beautiful fish. Definitely the biggest of the day. Well, I don't care what part of the country you're from, that skimmer bream divide I don't think comes into it on this one. This one's definitely a bream. Lovely chunky fish. We heard they were in here. It's great to see one. Well, the wind's getting stronger and stronger, so these waves are getting bigger. It's crashing over my side tray now. It's been a brilliant session. I'm still on that 50 metre line. I'm just gonna catch one more fish, and then I think we're gonna call it a day. Get the kit up the bank, and then we'll have a look at the fish, have a look at what we've caught. Well, that's a lovely fish to end on. It's been the average stamp for today. On a full worm. Lovely stamp of fish, great condition. Lovely one to finish on. Well, as you can see, it's been a fantastic session. Just a nice, simple approach to a new venue. We've never seen this place before. We've fished two lines with two sensible mixers, both serial mixers, not taking too many chances. Early on, we've caught loads of little roach on that short line at 25 metres. And then, as you've seen later on in the session, we fed heavier in a slightly different way for better fish. And we've had, as you can see, quite a few skimmers that size, with a couple in there that are probably 4 pound. It's been a fantastic session. Wonderful venue, very scenic, as you've seen. It's been a wonderful session. So we're going to get these fish popped back. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next Matrix Mini Masterclass. If you've enjoyed this video, please click like and share.